Hi, thanks for listening in to this important conversation about influenza, or the flu. My name's Patsy Stinchfield. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner, and today we are at Children's Hospital, Children's Minnesota, here in Minneapolis. I'm also the president of the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases, and we're wanting to talk with a patient that was part of Children's Minnesota for quite a long time. And Emily, welcome. It's great to have you. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm currently a student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I'm studying political science.
So you spent a lot of time here at Children's Minnesota. How much time?
It was about 3 months.
And you were here because you...
I was diagnosed with the flu, and then it turned into a bunch of other things, such as pneumonia, and then which led to me being in a medically-induced coma.
In a coma because of the flu. So how old were you when you got influenza?
I was 13, a few days before my 14th birthday.
Okay, well, tell us the story. What was going on at the time?
I had a volleyball tournament the weekend prior, and then when I got back, I started feeling a little sick. So my mom took me to a clinic and where they diagnosed me with the flu. I was pretty healthy, so they just told me that, stay home for school for a week, but you'll probably be fine. Just rest up. And then throughout that week, I started feeling worse. So my mom took me to urgent care where they rushed me immediately to the emergency room at Children's.
Was there any point at the beginning in there where you felt scared when you couldn't catch your breath?
Yeah, I was pretty worried about that. She was definitely more concerned about it. I thought I'll just get better. I'm a healthy kid. I mean, the doctor, when I got the flu, just said, stay home and rest for a week.
Right. And so you thought that was going to be the story.
Yeah.
So you come to the emergency room, and then what happened?
I just did a bunch of tests and then rushed me up to the ICU and then put me in the medically induced coma.
How long did it take you to recover?
About a year to be fully or pretty close to where I was before.
Yeah.
I was in physical therapy for a while. After leaving the hospital while I was still in school, and then I went to another rehab hospital right after Children's for a couple weeks before returning home.
This is where I think those of us who know a lot about influenza, know a lot about critical care, know a lot about ECMO and those who survive, think that your flu vaccine that you got that fall probably was the thing that allowed you to fight harder and survive. You had just that little bit of edge, enough to give your immune system a bit of a heads up. And boy, you really got walloped with that virus. But I do think you had enough vaccine on board that you were able to make it through, survive, and get back to school in the fall. Yeah, so it's really quite a story. Have you had any complications since you've been discharged from the hospital?
Not really. My lungs still aren't really back to 100%, but I've still been able to play sports and carry on with normal life.
Yeah, and do you have troubles with your lungs, like in the cold and flu season now?
A little bit. I have a bad cough every now and then, but it's doable and I live with it.
Yeah. And how do you feel when you're like, oh no, cold and flu season's coming again? Does that do anything to you psychologically, or?
It worries me a little bit, but it's been a few years now and I've been fine every year since, so I'm not as worried now. But it's still a little scary knowing what it can do.
Yeah. And how has it made you and your family feel about flu vaccines?
I mean, we've always gotten our flu vaccines, but now it's a definite thing. We get it pretty early, just before all the flu season starts.
Right. Right, so I can't imagine you going without it. You know, it's not a perfect vaccine. It's not 100%. We wish it was great, but that virus is so wily. It changes itself, so we have to make these predictions. And sometimes we have a good match, like we do this year, and sometimes we don't. But it is, even if it's not a good match, it does give you such protection. So getting that flu vaccine does help you a lot. So what do you want others to know about influenza and flu vaccines?
I want people to know that most of the times the flu is just like a mild cold and you stay home and you rest for a week. But most people don't know how bad it can get, especially on young and healthy people. And then if they could see like how bad it could get, that it might encourage people to get their flu vaccines to prevent something catastrophic happening.
Right. And as far as the sharing about influenza, anything that brought you to this point now to want to talk more specifically about flu?
Just to bring awareness. A lot of my friends from school before I got sick didn't get their flu vaccine because them and their parents just thought it's just like a mild thing and it can't get that bad. But after I was sick that year, I think all of them got it, just seeing like how terrible it can be.
Right, right. And a lot of it is just, I didn't know. I didn't know that flu could be this bad, that could make you sick. So those of us who've spent our careers in children's hospitals try to say, yes, these diseases that we vaccinate against are terrible. They can be scary. And the thing about you, Emily, like you said, you were a healthy volleyball playing teenage girl. You didn't have an immune deficiency. You didn't have other chronic diseases. There was no reason, and we just don't know. Why do some people get hammered like you did and have to fight for your life, and others have what most people do is that bad cold? So in closing, what's something that you say to your college dorm mates about flu and flu vaccines, or anything you'd like to leave us with today?
Just to realize that it can be way worse than you expect it to be, and just having that extra protection with the flu shot can be life-saving.
It definitely was for you, wasn't it? Yeah, not to take a chance, right? I'm so glad you are with us. I'm so glad you pulled through. I don't know if you heard the whole hospital cheering the day that you got discharged. And those of us at the National Foundation for Infectious Disease work very hard at trying to teach about influenza and the importance of vaccines. And so thank you for joining us today in that mission. Thank you, Emily. Thanks so much.